gentlemen, how are you both doing?
We're doing well, Steve. How are you?
Listen, I cannot say enough great things about this movie. I'm sure you're hearing that from everyone. I loved this film so much. I there's so many things to talk about, but I'm curious, when you have been telling your friends and family about this film, what are the things you keep going back to in terms of what you're raving about to them, the things that you love about this movie?
Well, I personally, I rave about Denis Villeneuve because working with him, there's a few directors in my career that where you're incredibly happy and incredibly creative on set, where you feel absolutely safe and you're allowed to make mistakes and whatever you try is allowed, and the atmosphere is friendly on the set as well. And Denis Villeneuve is one of those very few directors. And working with him is such a pleasure that I hope to be able to do it without a fat suit someday.
When I talk to people about the film, and specifically about the film, I focus on two things that really came to me when I was watching the film. And one is that Denis really took the characters and this world, this universe, off the page and put it there for us visually. Now we have a visual reference to these words. And the second thing, and I want to say that I always say that this is one of the most beautiful films that I've ever seen in my life. And it's always a risk to say this is the most beautiful film, because I feel like I might be forgetting something there. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody else, but this is probably the most beautiful film that I've ever seen in my life. Visually, it's just stunning, absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, there's just no weak link in this movie. Like, everything is just so good. It doesn't make sense because it could have gone off the rails in a million different ways when you're dealing with such complicated characters and everything. And I kind of want to touch on that. With the thing about Dune is that it brilliantly holds a mirror. It might be taking place in the future and on another planet, but it brilliantly takes this mirror to our society. And, the reflection. Can you sort of talk about that aspect of the film, if you don't mind?
I will touch on it briefly. Stellan touched on it earlier and is much more eloquent than I could ever be in my lifetime or in 10 lifetimes. But I think this really, it shows how cruel people can be in the search for power and, in the name of greed. I think we're absolutely experiencing that, across the world, but I may be biased, but I think specifically in the United States, it's just become horrible, what people will do and what they will say in the name of power and greed. It's just sickening. It makes me sick. It's heartbreaking to me, which, Steve, I've become very politically involved, and it's just an uncomfortable place for me to be. But I feel like, it's my duty to be a voice of reason, because I think there's just so much injustice going on right now. Our country, our society, has digressed in way too many ways. It's really hard for me. Like, it's really hard for me.
I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything, Stellan.
No, of course what makes any piece of art interesting to me is of course the aesthetics is fantastic and all that, but aesthetics without a purpose are meaningless. But it is about human beings, and it is about humanity. And even if it's entertainment, you feel it, and that enriches this film enormously, I think.
Thank you both for your time. And Dave, thank you for being active on Twitter with helping to raise awareness. You guys are fantastic in this. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Stephen. Take care now.
Goodbye.